Welcome to the With Clarity and Purpose podcast with your host, Yanet Borrego. Each week, I bring you an inspiring person or message to empower you to live life on your terms so you can be who you want to be, do what you are meant to do, and have the life you deserve to have. We will provide you with practical and cutting-edge approaches to continue getting clarity and direction on your path, mastering your mindset, and gaining confidence to tap into your inner wisdom so you can live on purpose. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of With Clarity and Purpose. Today I am beyond excited because I have a super inspiring guest with an inspiring story. We have in the house DJ Carina Lopez. She's actually an engineer by day and a DJ by night. Welcome, Carina. We are super excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Janet. Thank you so much. Really happy to be here.
Awesome. So I want our audience to know more about you. What is your background?
More about me. Yes. So I'm an environmental engineer by day.
Nice.
And a DJ by night.
I love it. I love the combination.
Also known as DJ Carry Beats. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, Dominican parents. So I have the best of both. Caribbean
the best of both
islands.
worlds, right?
Yeah, the best of both islands. And I've been in Houston for like 8 years by now.
I love it. And I'm representing Cuba. So Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic.
All Caribbean.
We are ready to take on the Caribbean, y'all.
Yes.
I love that. So a lot of these podcasts, which I was telling Carina, is about people with inspiring stories that have unconventional path. An engineer by day, a DJ by night. I mean, that is so inspiring that you're doing both at the same time. And many people are afraid to merge or do a hybrid of their careers. And I would love to know all about it. So tell me, what is your career background? What has been your career path?
So yes, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, right? So we're very close to nature and protecting nature. So I've developed a passion to protect the environment.
Oh my God, I love that.
And I had a great teacher. And I always talk about it because it's the importance of having mentors. Yeah. I had a great teacher in high school I told her, hey, I want to protect the environment. And she said, well, if you become an engineer, people are going to listen to you.
That's a good advice.
More than just a scientist, because you get to make more decisions. And I said, okay, cool, I'll be an engineer. So I ended up being an environmental engineer. It's been one of the best decisions I've done in my whole life.
I love that.
I truly feel like I picked the right career. I grew up on scholarships. I never had to pay to go in a career that ended up being one of the most important careers right now with the whole carbon management.
It is right now, Sustainability.
Boom. Yeah, sustainability. So it's something that I truly, truly loved. And I've been doing it for 8 years. And now I also, when I graduated from college, I decided to focus on getting all my engineering certifications, my EIT, engineering training, my PE and all that. Make my mom happy, basically. Hey, mom, mami no habla inglés.
Yeah, same here. My mom is like, no English at all.
So I had to say, just in case, because she's like my biggest fan. So I graduated. I felt like I had to prove myself.
Yeah.
So I get all my engineering certifications. It wasn't until the pandemic started that I started taking, I was buying equipment and all that, but it wasn't until the pandemic started that I took it more seriously.
Wow.
I think it was more about the realization that we don't have, the next day is not granted. Mm-hmm. And I've had this fire in my heart for my whole year, my whole life. I keep looking at pictures when you're in workshops and they ask you, what do you want to do? I've always pictured myself like a little kid DJ.
I love that.
And it was I think that's just a realization that if I'm not going to do it now, when is it going to happen?
So inspiring, Carina, because we are getting to know each other. This is the first time we see each other face to face. I think it's fun. I mean, who else other than entrepreneurs would do
make that happen, like at night. You didn't know who I was, but we are here sharing super inspiring stories. And honestly, I made this transition and I knew I was ready because a super close relative died this year. And when he passed away from cancer, it was such a realization of exactly what you said. Life is so fragile and temporary. And it's like, what are we doing with this precious life? Let's make it count. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, especially, you know, if you have that fire inside you and you know, it's so clear. So what do you do with it?
I know, it is so important. And I feel even in moments where you're challenged and you're like, can I do this? That fire still tells you, you freaking can do this. Just do not quit. Keep going.
It's actually very scary.
It is very scary. It's like, am I hearing a voice like there? But that's awesome. Okay, so engineer by day,
DJ by
night. I was reading one of your articles. And by the way, since the pandemic, really, I read like 3 articles of you. I'm like, how do you get there?
I have a great support system. I joined it's called a Champions Club.
Nice.
Little plug to my gym. To the gym. It's a gym for leaders, and they actually helped me a lot through the transition and like push me. So again, I know it's something that women, we do it a lot, but it is true. It's always good to show appreciation and be thankful for the people that supported you through, the most fragile stages of your life when you're making all these scary moves. And that was Champions Club for me.
Wow.
And they have a lot of connections in media as well. And that has helped me a lot, with my SEO, with my Google searches.
Oh my God, you know all of that, girl. You're plugged in.
So yeah, that's how it all came, out there.
I love it. How do you plug into that community, right? As a new entrepreneur, how do you get there? Because I find that being challenging. So finding the right people,
Finding the right, I think nothing is a coincidence.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my God, yes.
I feel like the right people just come into your life, but you have to be intentional.
Yes.
About what you're looking for, because it can be confusing. It can look like something else, but it's just, if it's not aligned with your priorities, you can confuse it. But if you have your priorities clear, you'll know when the right people walk into your life, and you just hold on to them and they'll hold on to you.
Oh my God, I like that so much. And I'm so happy. Like literally I messaged her via Facebook Messenger and she was like, I love it. I'll do it. Which is amazing that you showed up. You're here sharing your story. So I really appreciate you and your time.
I'm really happy to be here. I think we have to support each other. And I can tell that you truly love this. And this is something that, that's what it is for you. This is what it is for me. But at the end of the day, we're all looking to put into action what we're called to do. So if we can inspire more people to do the same, then let's do it.
Yes. Okay, let's do it. So in one of the articles, I read that you always knew since you were a kid that DJ was the thing. And that's something that I realized with myself and even with my coaching clients, like they have realized childhood is such an important piece of finding your purpose and living your purpose. So tell me more about it.
But the funny thing is that you don't realize until you're older, right? I've always mixed in my life. I used to, everybody recorded music of the radio, right?
Yeah.
We all did that? Oh. But I also started mixing. All I had was sound recorder.
Yeah.
On my God. Desktop computer. And I mix my own songs, and then I will also do the transitions. It's actually really funny. I will get the mic and do like this scratch sound. And put 2 songs together because I was mixing. Right?
I love it.
So, and I think just again, even my parents will support that.
Yeah.
The radio was mine. They will get me the cassettes or the CDs, the computer. So I think that getting that reaffirmation when you're a child, it always comes back to you. You always think, what did I used to do that made me so happy. And why am I not doing it? When did it happen?
I know.
So I always knew this is what I wanted to do. And I've always mixed all the things, all the songs from all my field days, my graduations.
I love
I've
that.
always mixed them. And yeah, it's just, it takes a while.
It takes a while.
It takes a while to do it when you're older.
Yeah, it does. And I think, I mean, I don't know how old are you, but I think after 30, I heard like, you know, Gary Vee?
Yes, but I have my hesitations because I think he was set up in life.
Okay. Disregarding that part, he always says, you know, it's until 30 that you start realizing and taking intentional decisions to live your purpose, because you start realizing that part of your life that you have lived, that's not what you wanted. And sometimes you need to experience what you don't want in order to even align more to what you want, which was that childhood dream that now you're living, girl, and taking action on. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and sometimes I wish I would have done it way, before.
Earlier,
but I'm also thankful that somewhere in there, I took action, because something that I realized is that once you take action, everything just flows.
Yes.
I went from 0 to 100. This week I work from tomorrow all the way to Friday.
Wow.
And, last week it was very similar, and it's only been a year. I'm on my second year, but it's just so effortless.
Yeah, I love that. And before the pandemic, right, when you really took action, were you taking action before on and off, or not really at all? Okay.
So I've always felt I had to prove myself and get my professional engineer license. Yes. So I took that test 3 times, failed 2 times. The third time I did it.
Nice.
And I just felt like I was a free woman. I'm like, wow, I was 27, I'm 31 now at the time. And I was like, wow, now I can be a DJ. So the first thing I did, I went to Guitar Center and I bought a controller. But yes, it was honestly.
I love the celebration party. I'll get a controller.
But it's just so funny because it's self-inflicted pressure. I could have started way before. Why did I feel like I had to wait? So yes, it was very on and off because I was still, just kind of dabbling into it. So I bought equipment, I bought music, I did all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it wasn't until the pandemic. Then I said, you know what, I'm going to learn. And another plug, like I always will say this, like DJ Ilset plays such an important role because she said, you want to open for me? And I said, okay. And I didn't even know how to do vinyl at that time. But I had read a book that it was called The Year of the Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
And then figure it out.
That one.
It was the scariest thing ever. So that's how it all started. I found people on the way.
I love that.
To practice.
Because I was listening to this interview with Sarah Blakely and Tony Robbins, and she always said it is actually good to not know how, because then you can make it your own. You can figure it out yourself and make it special.
Oh, that's such a good perspective. Yeah.
And I was like, that makes total sense. And so many people are focused on having all the pieces figured out before taking action, right?
Yeah, perfectionism doesn't work. I'm a perfectionist.
It's an illusion, yeah.
Yeah, I struggle with perfectionism and I put a lot of pressure on myself. But the best things have been when I don't do that.
Yeah, and you don't let that stop you anymore. You know better now.
You know what?
You're like, sometimes.
Let's say I have a lot of growth potential.
Yes, I love it. That's good. Because we're always growing until we die. I mean, whatever that day is. So, okay, you were being kind of on and off with DJing. What beliefs did you have to overcome in order to get you where you were like a year from now? That you're like, in the pandemic, this may sound crazy, because a lot of people could have said the pandemic, that's not even a good time to start. And you just went for it, right? So what beliefs, or even about yourself, beliefs about yourself, or even like...
I think the biggest belief was I never doubted that this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was more about, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to stick to it and we'll see where it goes, because you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think one of my biggest beliefs was just keep going, honestly. I didn't know where I was going. I actually started on Twitch. I did virtual shows on Friday. And then I got strangers to say, hey, come every Friday, like continue doing. And I was like, oh, strangers like my show. Maybe that's something I need to continue.
That's a sign.
That's a sign. So it was so important to, I recognize it to get to get that validation, but it's also not the realization, but believing that, I don't know how this looks and it's super scary again, but I'm just going to continue doing it.
Yeah.
And and then I just did it.
So would you say that taking that action, it allowed you to gain even further clarity in terms of your path?
Oh my God, absolutely. So just taking the smallest action. I didn't have the right equipment. I didn't have the right music. My mixing was all over the place. But once you start doing, you start getting feedback. You have to be open to feedback and say, you know what? Okay, I can improve here. Let me work on that. Just, you give me an opportunity. You have to be able, you need to believe in yourself, even though if you're shaking to do it, because then you're going to take that into and be better the next time. So I did that. And so many times I was just shaking. Man, I lost my thought.
You kept doing it, gain clarity on the path.
Yeah, and even this week. So I just came back from a Baker replay competition for pitching your business.
Nice.
And when I went in, I thought I wanted one thing with my business. I thought I just wanted to DJ. I came out and I thought, wow, there's so many things that I can do with this. So many, ways to branch this out to make it even bigger business that may not even depend on me.
Yeah, so, I love that.
Yeah, like it's not like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Gaining clarity is a process, and if you are open to continue learning, man,
you evolve.
Crazy.
You keep evolving and evolving.
It's crazy because a year before, I would have never thought of a business without me DJing. I'm like, oh, I can train people.
Yeah, I know.
I can grow this in a different way. So, and it totally makes sense.
And something that I was thinking, something that I'm working on right now is a digital course, right? Mm-hmm. On help people finding their purpose and aligning their career to their purpose, and even a digital course on how to DJ. I mean, that's a digital product. I'm like here giving you an idea, but that's a digital product you can even put together to show people that don't have any experience. Maybe it can be a beginner, I don't know, but what I'm saying is like, you're totally right. When you get exposed to the right people, the right opportunities, and you take action, then your mind is like blown out of the possibilities.
It is. But you said it well. You have to take action.
Yes.
And that's what I was missing.
Yeah.
Before. I wasn't doing enough. I was thinking I had to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
But once you get the pressure of somebody else saying, no, just come and do it, then it changes. It forces you to take action. I
love that. Now, an engineer, like your mom told you, or a teacher told you, is a very, well thought out position. It's like, oh my God, an engineer, that's awesome. You're super smart, etc. Was there a piece of external validation you had to overcome when you were transitioning into that DJ phase of being an engineer or DJ? How have you dealt with others' expectations of you and others' opinions? Or, a lot of people care about what others might think if I'm now doing engineering and DJ, or was that something?
I'm not gonna lie. I still struggle. I'm finding the balance between communicating that to people, because I feel, and maybe this is my internal belief that I have to overcome. I feel like if you don't have a family or kids, then you're supposed to be 150% into your job, and it's hard to share that. You know what? I don't have, my family's not here. My family is back in Puerto Rico. This is just me. And what I enjoy doing outside my time, it's not going to the park, it's going to DJ.
Yeah, it's your business.
But it's so
course.
unconventional.
It is.
It's so different, and people are not used to it. So it's something that I don't share a lot within the company. But whenever I do, people are super supportive, really happy about it. I've gotten tons of emails.
That is so cute. I love it.
And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. I guess nobody, now everybody knows. So yeah, but it does give me an advantage because I succeeded.
Yeah, succeeded.
In a male-dominated industry.
Yes, I know. Yeah, that is total. In both ways, right? Engineering now has improved, but very male-dominant. And DJing, very male-dominant, girl. You're like a trailblazer. You're like, I'm here.
But this is the thing. Nobody ever told me you can't. So that's one belief. My mom never told me you can't. Exactly. Nobody ever did.
Yeah.
So here I am just doing what I feel it is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I never had to deal with anybody telling me you can't.
Yeah.
Which is something really, really important because I realize other people have to deal with those things. So it was like, no, you can be whatever you want to be. Just be an engineer first. Okay, Mom.
Check. Let me buy my controller.
Let me DJ.
I love that. Okay, so engineer, so DJ. Nice. I know. You're like, okay, I'm taking this seriously. Check. Let's buy the contour next.
Yes.
Now, engineer, DJ, I understand that setting boundaries has been important in terms of timing, right? Because you gotta maintain a full-time job and then a DJing job. Take us in a day with Carina. I'm just maybe a week. I'm like, what happens with weekdays and weekends? Like,
so funny.
Tell us about your schedule.
It's always, I'm always on the go. And if I'm not on the go, I get really sad, which I still have to, see how I deal with that. But, I will wake up. I have to make coffee every day. Work. But the thing
important question, American coffee or
oh
espresso?
My God, I just came back from Puerto Rico. I bought 6 packs of coffee. And before that, it was Dominican coffee. So I like my coffee strong.
I know, same here. That's why I'm asking. I'm like, I drink the cafeteras. We have one of those. That's what we do every day.
Yeah, it has to be very, very strong coffee. Yeah, basically, I go about my day. One thing that I'm very lucky of, it's like I've been doing my job for long enough that by now I'm comfortable doing it. I know what I have to do, when I have to do it. So I've been, number one, really blessed to work from home, to be able to be super efficient and not go back and forth 2 hours, do my job. I'm usually trying to prepare music during the week. Like even before I came here, while I was still working, I was listening to music, but now instead of just listening to Spotify, just listening to random music, I listen to my own songs. And I'm like, oh, that's a great song. Oh, I like that. So to get to know my own library. So I use my time more efficient instead of just allowing all kinds of inputs throughout my day.
Yeah.
So
nice.
That's one example. And yeah, I used to go to the gym very regularly. Now it's very, very difficult for me, but I do try to go Wednesdays, work out, and I just come back and work on music to be honest, and then repeat. And then this week I work every evening. So I have to leave early, set up, come back, put all the equipment away, and then do the same the next day.
Always on the go.
And that's the thing, I am very particular with my time because it is the one thing that I cannot buy, right?
That is true.
And I'm very selective with what I do with my free time.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you earlier, if I'm not working or if I'm not being productive or teaching somebody or, investing into something that I think is worth it, it's really hard for me to just hang out and just do nothing. So I feel like part of being able to do both is, again, be clear what are my priorities. And if it doesn't fit with that, knowing when to say no.
I love it. this podcast community is purpose driven. So I love that you need to have an intention or a purpose for everything.
Yeah.
Totally
Sometimes I wish I could have more fun, but I know time is gonna come. You know, and right now I'm just living I'm living my dream, and that's the thing. That's why I don't need to like. I feel like waste my time on other things because I'm just so happy doing what I've always wanted to do.
I love that. That's awesome. I had a question for you, and I'm like, what I was gonna ask her. Yes, does it get overwhelming ever? Like to always be in the go, full time, this, that,
all the time.
How do you work through that usually?
It's very, very overwhelming.
What keeps you going?
It's very, very overwhelming. What keeps me going? The show must go on.
Yeah.
The show must go on. Like why would I stop? The one thing I'm going to tell you that I've learned to do is not only set boundaries, but to learn how to rest.
Important.
If I'm not working, and I decide, I block up my calendar. The other day my friends were like, oh, we're going to go to brunch on Sunday. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I won't be able to make it. Yeah. But it's not like I had anything to do.
It is your time. Yeah.
I just had to sleep in. Because it's so my only day to sleep in. And I know that if I don't do it, I'm going to be dragging that the whole week. So it's part of knowing what you need and just, it gets very lonely sometimes.
I was going to tell you that. And I'm so happy you brought that up because, now that I transitioned to full-time entrepreneurship, I was telling you, I'm trying to find that community, and the path can be lonely because not everyone is taking this path, which is not easy. I would never tell anyone that it's easy, but it's the most fulfilling thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah, and it's you really need to have, again, some sort of support system. Mm-hmm. People are always there for you, even the little things. Like I've had people that cook for me at some point, or just take care of the stuff that's important for me so that you can keep going.
Yes.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but man, just resting is so important. Like that's like sacred to me.
It is so important. And we are in this culture that we always think, even in corporate jobs or entrepreneurship, that is like go, go, go. And sometimes that's the attitude that gets rewarded, And I find myself sometimes resting and I'm like, no, I should be doing something. Kind of feel guilty. I'm like,
oh my God, I do feel like that.
It's crazy.
But today I want to share something. Preeti, I work with this amazing lady called Preeti. And she always asks about my parents. And today she was like, Carina, if something happens to you, you're just going to get replaced. It's go spend time with your parents. Why are you not doing that more regularly? And I'm like, you know what? That's right. And I realized how refreshing it was to spend time with them. So go. It can be rewarding. But is it going to matter a year from now? And if not, it's not really going to matter, then figure out what's going to matter and put your time into it.
Yes.
Like your family. I'm so glad I got to spend time with my family last week.
They came here?
No, I went back to Puerto Rico.
Oh, I haven't been back in a long time, girl.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
I love it. Do you eat mofongo?
I love mofongo.
Me too. I love plantains.
That's mofongo. Yeah, but the best thing was, and that's the thing, like when I know, I call it value-based spending.
Yes.
I'm either going to spend money or time.
I like that.
In this case, I was intentional in spending time with my parents. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was the best thing just to sit on the balcony and to talk, or like do nothing, just talk. We had beers with snacks, and I don't even remember what we're talking about, but it's just like sitting in front of the balcony with the breeze, just hanging out. Like that to me was so important.
Just being, not doing. One of my mentors says, we are human beings, not human doings. Just
I love that.
Right? Isn't that true? Like we're like do all the time, but sometimes you've gotta be. just allow the space for things to happen. That's something I'm working on.
It does.
I need to make sure this happen. And sometimes it's just like, man, you gotta give that space.
Yeah, I think in the entrepreneur community, it's really hard to do that.
It is hard.
It is really hard to do it and decide when are you gonna take that break. So again, I go back to your value system. I think, what do you value? Is it your family? Is it rest? Is it hanging out at the beach?
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Well, I was my fiance and I were in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico because we had a wedding there. And I mean, we got engaged the day before, literally. So happy. But anyway, thank you so much. The beach is just such a calming and grounding place. I just loved it.
I know.
So healing, it's healing, yeah.
Yeah, we should all live by the beach.
I know,
that's
right?
That's a different story.
Do you ever go to Galveston?
No.
Me neither.
Galveston is not pretty. So my dad came to visit Houston, when I moved here. I mean, not to visit. He brought me here. Yeah. I'm like, total daddy's girl. And I took him to Galveston, and he still remembers how ugly it was.
He's like, this is a nightmare.
He never says, "Oh, Daddy, take me again." Never. So yeah, I guess it's not that pretty.
I know. Galveston is like a beach that is like an hour from here for 45 minutes.
But it's like sediment from the Gulf.
Yes, it is like, you don't know what's in the water. It's very dark. I mean, yeah.
No, it's like slime. It's not a real beach. For a real beach, make sure to check out your Caribbean islands. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba.
I love the promotional component.
Visit Caribbean.
Visit Puerto Rico, totally. I'm all for it.
Yes.
I love that. And I mean, 1 year, what a huge transformation in your business. What mindset shifts have you made? How was Carina in terms of mindset 1 year ago and now? How much have you grown mindset-wise? How much you have learned too, right? As an entrepreneur in this case.
It's a very tough question because you don't notice the changes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the main thing is knowing that it's going to be okay and you're going to do well.
What an important one. Yeah, I love that.
I'm a very insecure person. Like, I doubt myself a lot.
The fact that you admit that, I want to commend you, for being vulnerable.
Really, but it's true.
It is true, and so many people struggle. I mean, I sometimes struggle with, and I have to do some therapy to myself in order to come out of there,
Because I am a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And that's something that Carina had to let go.
Yeah.
In order to have such a fast turnaround, to work and then shift gears and present, and then one day I'm doing a festival, the other day I'm doing a party, another day I'm doing a birthday. It's completely different energies that you have to bring. So it's not like you have time to be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I've learned that it's more important to show up.
Yes.
As long as you show up.
That's 80% of it, right? Show up.
And before I thought, okay, I have to show up, but how am I going to do it? And what are all the details? Now I just, I'm here, got my lashes on, got my computer. So let's do this. That's more important. And get rid of that perfectionism because there's just no time for it.
One of my mentors, the one that I invested on a course to know how to create a digital course. Funny, but I truly believe in investing in yourself, right? And she always says, we are not targeting an A+, we are targeting a B+, y'all. It's better to put it in the market and learn from it, right? Because you're not gonna get it perfect unless you show up and learn from whatever you're doing.
That is so true.
Just like, because you learn, it's like trial and error. Okay, good. I become wiser as the more I show up and I take action.
That is true. And you think people that do it perfectly been doing it forever. I mean, you think they just started because that's when you realize they exist, but they've been doing it for a long time. You look at their posts and you're like, oh, they've been doing Reels forever. I just noticed the one that went viral, but so I think it's more important to start. And it goes back to what I was telling you, that I just knew that I had to start somewhere. And I've also read somewhere that if you're not embarrassed of your first product, you started too late.
Yes, that is true.
And I look back at my first products and I'm like, man, what I was thinking with that crop top. But I was there on Twitch. Getting it done.
I really like that because I feel a lot of people don't do it because of fear of embarrassment. Literally what others might think, we are always seeking external validation versus internal fulfillment. And what's really important is what you want, what Carina wants, right? Because that way, the more you align, the more you thrive, right? As you keep, I know, I made that up this week, girl. I literally came with that this week because I was reflecting on my career and the steps that I took. I mean, earlier on in my career, I decided to go from process engineer to work in supply chain because I really loved the work more, the people more. And a lot of people told me, Yanet, you're going to earn a lot less in supply chain. I mean, I was making 6 figures. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm going to do something I'm passionate about. And after 4 years in supply chain, I was earning more than the people who stayed back and hated what they were doing, right? Isn't that crazy? So I'm like, the more you align and the more you trust yourself and seek that internal fulfillment, the better you're going to do. It's like, it's a universal law, which I just came up with.
No, but it's true.
But,
it's true. And that's why I think that once you start, you take action, again, everything flows.
I love that.
And man, you notice. Trust me, you notice.
And what about mentorship? I was reading one of your articles, doing my research, and I'm like, I know you had a mentor, like a DJ mentor, or
I've had a couple.
Okay,
I've had a couple, OG DJs that I've learned from during my career. Like DJ Ilse, she was the first one that gave me the opportunity. David Cruz taught me how much to charge. You know how important that is?
I know. I was gonna ask you. I'm like, birthday club, like, is that the same? I mean, I don't want you to give me details, but what have been your finance mindset in terms of even charging people for different events?
Well, I'm gonna tell you that before I ran my numbers, I was very inconsistent. But once I put it into paper and I say, how many am I doing? What are the type of gigs? What equipment am I bringing? And I put targets, I blew them off. Like, it's just so crazy that once you put it into paper, it just happens.
Yeah, it does.
So before I was just doing things, just doing. But when I say, okay, hold on, what am I looking for? Where am I gonna focus? It just happened. So right now I do have a manager. He really helps me get all the gigs in place. I'm gonna tell you, I've also learned somewhere, you can do anything, but you cannot do everything.
Yeah, that is true.
And you're gonna get burned out. And something that I hate about myself, I'm gonna say it, is that I take forever to reply. I don't know what to say because I'm trying to do like the best and like
many things.
Have like a good answer. When a B+ is good enough, like I'll be there, or thank you so much, I'll get back to you. I'm like, I want to be the person that says, thank you so much, here are all of your answers. And sometimes I never get to that, so I never reply. So I learned that's my weakness, and then I found somebody that complements that and helps me move my career forward without relying on my own capacity. So once you put it into paper and you realize the things that your weaknesses, and you find people that help you with them.
I know. Was mentorship important in that? In what to charge, how to even like, or?
And I wish there were more structure in the DJ community about how much to charge. I do think we need like a union or something like that. It's very spotty. Yeah. It is very spotty. But you always have people that you can rely on to know how much to charge. You should never work for free.
Were there any limiting beliefs around money that you had to overcome in order to
of course. I've always thought that, man, how am I charging I remember my first private event, I charged $1,600.
Nice.
$1,600. And
how many hours?
4 hours.
Nice.
And I thought, man, how can I be charging all this money? They didn't even know I just started. Wow, hi. And you know what? It was great. Got great reviews, got the money, and out perfect. People danced. It was great. But the limiting belief was, am I worth $1,800 for 4 hours? $1,600. And yeah, you are, because
You are.
once you ask for it, I remember we were on the phone and I said, yeah, it's 1,600. And he said, okay, the other guy, we just did a quote. It was very similar. Just send us the contract.
Nice. And you didn't even know. You were like,
yeah,
okay,
what if I
for...
said 500?
I know, yeah, they would have.
It's not market rate. So you have to know your value. You have to know your worth and not be afraid even if you're 600.
I know, like very confident. Okay, I got it.
But it was
eye-opening.
so exciting.
Yeah.
That they just said, yeah, the other guy is the same. Just, we like you better. Just send us the contract.
Oh my God, I love that.
Okay, thanks.
I'm just so happy for you. I'm so happy that we met. I mean, and we are in the same community, not the DJ community, but the entrepreneurship and purpose and dreams, and let's make it happen at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think we have so many opportunities. That's something I love about Houston.
Right? It's very diverse, yeah.
Anything you want to be, you can be in the city.
Yeah.
And you always find your tribe.
I love that. I always ask my guests, what does purpose mean to you? Because, you know, the podcast is with clarity and purpose, and I'm all about purpose driven. What does that mean to you, and how are you living it in your life?
Man, that's a tough question.
Just the first thing that comes to mind, you already know.
Well, I already said it, that it's being intentional.
Yeah.
But to me, purpose is, and it really goes back to, what are your priorities?
Yes.
Is this aligning with something that I truly, truly care about? And if it's not, then you're fulfilling somebody else's dream. That's not yours.
I love that.
And it can be very, very easy to fall into that. So to me, purpose is knowing, this is how I want things to look in 5 years.
Yeah.
If it's not aligned with that, it's not a priority.
Yes. Oh my God. I literally run every client after the release work through a similar exercise. Literally, it's that.
Yeah. And once you do it, again, I'm not going to lie, it gets very lonely.
Yeah, it
But then
is.
you look back and you're like, wow, I finally did that thing that I've always wanted to do.
I know. Because sometimes when you are in it, it's like you don't know that the dots will connect whenever you're far away and look back and you're like, I see how I got there. Yeah. It's like everything made sense in order for me to get there. I love this analogy that makes total sense. And I know you love finances and everything.
I do.
I know. That's another episode. You know, whenever you're looking at a stock, right, at the trend, and you're just looking at one day and you're like, oh, it came down. No, sometimes we are like that in life. And then when you zoom out, you see that all the last 5 years, it has been going up. And sometimes we are just like so focused on freaking one thing that longer term, it will not matter. You are going up, you know, you're progressing.
That is so true.
It is so true, right? And I know you see stocks all the time, so you're passionate about it. So every time you see it, you'll think of this conversation.
Yeah.
Zoom out. Things are going great.
I mean, that is inspiring in itself.
We are learning so much here. That's why I love these interviews and sharing these stories, because, man, you learn so much just talking to...
Yeah, I'm inspired. I'm genuinely inspired. I'm like, wow, that is so true. This stuff, just zoom out. It's been returned average 7 to 10%, even though it dropped 30 last year.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah. And life is like that too. Whenever you feel down, you're like, okay, I have everything I need. I'm in the right place.
Yeah, I just wish if I can like say something to listeners, I just start doing whatever it is, and really start small. I cannot say it enough. If you're not embarrassed of your first one, it started too late, and it's a minimal viable product, right? Like what's the minimum amount of work? What's the minimum amount of product that's gonna get me to say I did this, and then figure it out after. Because
I don't.
You know, my mom always says, Carina, you're in the right place. You're right where you need to be right now. But that's my one thing. Like, if I can pass something on, it's like, don't wait so long to start. If it's so clear to you,
Yes.
why do you have to wait 8 years, 7 years to pick up that controller and start playing, for real?
Yeah.
And monetizing it. Why? There's really nothing. It's all in your head.
It's all in your head. It is true. At
Nothing
the end of
really
the day.
changed.
No, it is all in your head.
And you're going to
in
get
my
old
head.
either or. That's the thing. You're going to be 35, 40 either or. So might as well just get it going.
And that voice, that inside voice never ceases. I feel the older you get, the louder it gets. So you better start listening at it right now. And that's why, literally, it took me 8 years to do this move, to almost 9 years to do this move. And I tried it at I think it was 2-year mark, 1 year. It didn't work out. I swear, I quit my job, but I didn't really. I failed at quitting my job when I was process engineer. I didn't like it at all. Anyway, so all this journey that I've had, that it has had bumps, highlights. It has had a little bit of everything, Carina. But I learned so much. And the more I walked, the more I aligned. And you're right. I always had that value and that purpose in my mind all the time. And that's how I knew that the right decisions were the ones that I was making. But it wasn't overnight, like you said. There is no overnight success. And there is no fearless either. Fear is going to be there. You decide if it will stop you or not. It's okay to feel fear. I think it's normal. When you're doing big things, it's like, holy, like, okay, people are like, I'm ready. It's normal.
I cannot tell you how many times I've been just
like shaking, like you said.
Shaking, because every time the stages are bigger and the expectations are higher.
You didn't. My friend, I'm so excited. The food is waiting for us. My mom cooked yellow rice with chicken, green plantains fried.
So we got priorities right now. That's what we're saying.
I love it.
We got low priorities.
What is the last thing? What is the last thing you want to tell our viewers, maybe for the person that doesn't have clarity, but he or she knows she is not in the right position? Maybe she's uncomfortable in the comfort zone. That can be a thing, I'm like, or maybe someone who is clear about their purpose and they are just stuck. What would you say to them? And the last thing, how does people contact you? Share all your info, my friend.
Sweet. What I want to share today, and I've already said it, but I cannot say it enough.
Say it again.
Just please start. It doesn't really matter what you start. Nobody's gonna look at it. And, it's your journey, and just don't waste more time if you have that clarity about what is it that, like I mentioned earlier, the fire that you have in your heart. I feel like we all have it. So stop pushing it down and take action. Find the right people, and if that means prioritizing your time with people that don't add to that, just make sure you do that, because it will happen either or. So get the right people, start, and honestly just have fun with it. Everything's gonna happen, it's just gonna flow after that. And that's what happened to me.
I love this. Is one of the most meaningful advice, I'm gonna be honest, I've received, like in this podcast when I'm interviewing people. So I really appreciate you, and I'm so proud of you. Why you're taking action 1 year and you're like booming. Like I literally read like 2 articles on there, okay?
That's what happens
I'm like,
when you do
I love it.
what you're meant to do. It's not only me, anybody that has a dream, once you start and get it going,
that's true.
The good things are gonna come. People are gonna notice you. It's gonna be effortless. One more thing, stop focusing on your weaknesses and just figure out what your strengths are.
Yes,
and just hone into those. Forget about the weaknesses. Don't try to, you can work on them, but I don't know why we're taught to work on our weaknesses when we have strengths.
I know.
And once you hone into the strengths, you just move forward. So do that. And once again, it's your girl, DJ Carrie Bits. Thank you so much for joining us on the Carina Purpose podcast. You can find me on Instagram as Carrie Beats. You can find me on Facebook as DJ Carrie Beats. And that's it. I need a website. But I haven't, that's the thing, it's not perfect. And I haven't.
It is not.
It's not perfect and I don't need it right now. It just flows without it.
I love, funny enough, I was handing my business cards with my website and it was not created. I'm like, hey, I gotta start somewhere, okay? Like,
it's so funny.
Totally okay.
I've been telling people, thank God I've never been short of work.
Yes, so important.
So you don't need to have a beautiful website, a beautiful Instagram, the perfect Facebook.
That is true. 20,000 followers.
You don't need that.
I love that.
You really don't.
Well, my friends, I hope you're super inspired and super pumped as much as I am right now. I feel I learned so much. And more than that, I'm just so grateful that I connected with someone who has a similar mindset and we're in a similar journey, right?
I know, I'm so glad about that. Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. I know your time is gold and I appreciate you sharing your story in this platform. Thank you so much, Carina.
Thank you so much, Anna.
And let's eat. We're ready, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.